voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Good Monday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Watch out for some fog, then partly to mostly sunny in the mid-50s today, light variable winds. Mostly clear overnight, around 35. Low 50s expected Tuesday, plenty of sunshine to go around. A weather front coming in Wednesday and Wednesday night with clouds and showers, maybe a thunderstorm. And the temperature Wednesday in the mid-50s, and it'll be in the mid-40s Wednesday night. More showers expected Thursday. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Police in Britain are still hunting a drone operator who caused Gatwick Airport to shut from Wednesday into Friday. An explosion at a Czech coal mine has killed at least 13 miners. Independence campaigners are protesting on streets in parts of Catalonia as Spain's government ministers hold a cabinet meeting in Barcelona, and Germany is closing its last remaining domestic black coal mine on Friday.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good morning to you on your Friday. It's December 21st, 2018. This is Community Conversations. Kato Wonder is in the studio with you, filling in for Quabila, who could not actually make it here in time, but it's all good. We're going to keep this thing going. Today, joining us in the studio is Dr. Cherisse Jones-Branch, who is a James and Wanda Lee Vaughn Endowed Professor of History at Arkansas State University. She is also the voice of the KLEK Black History Moments, which you hear every day here on KLEK. And we're also joined by Miss Chelsea Chapman, who is employed by the city of Jonesboro and is also a KLEK volunteer. And these ladies are here to talk about Kwanzaa. We are getting ready to get into the Kwanzaa season. We're going to be having our Kwanzaa Fellowship Luncheon December 29th from 12 to 3 at the Arkansas State University Pavilion. And it's going to be a free event, but we are asking for donations of socks and underwear, which will be brand new. Don't bring used ones now. Don't bring used ones. Brand new ones that we will be donating to charity. It's going to be lots of education and good fellowship. But we're going to talk about this season of Kwanzaa. What does it mean? And of course, all throughout the Kwanzaa season, we will have guests to talk about each of the principles of Kwanzaa. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into our discussion. So for those out there that may not know, let's just talk about what exactly is Kwanzaa.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Kwanzaa is a 7-day festival, and it celebrates African and African-American culture and history, and it takes place from December 26th through the 1st of January. And the name actually comes from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits in Swahili, which is a language that is spoken in East Africa, like in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, Zimbabwe. But Kwanzaa, although it can be celebrated in other places, is largely celebrated in the United States.
Okay, and the thing that I do want to emphasize is that Kwanzaa is not a replacement for any other holiday.
Not by any stretch of the imagination.
All of us here are Christians, and we celebrate Kwanzaa as well as something that complements whatever normal holidays that you celebrate during this season.
Right.
All right, so let's get into the principles of Kwanzaa. I believe there are 7 principles. So let's kind of have a talk about what, first name them and then talk about what each one of them means. Ooh. Oh, Chelsea, you ready for that? Because you said.
Well, you can look at the board right there.
I can't say them very well.
Oh, okay. You know what? Do the best you can.
Okay. Umoja is the first one. Is my mic on?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll get you some volume.
And it means unity. And then, help me out again.
Kuji cha gulia.
Kuji cha gulia means self-determination. Ujima means collective work. Ujama means cooperative economics.
Collective work and responsibility.
Gotcha. Nia means purpose. And then we have Kumba. And that means, Mackenzie, watch me. Creativity. And then
my head big, I know.
And then we have Imani, which means faith.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into our Facebook shout-outs, and then we're going to actually break down each one of these principles. Sure. Shout out to Quabila. Even though she couldn't make it, she is on our live feed, and she says hello all. And
Quabila.
I see Dr. Branch replied to her saying hi and how are you. Shout out to S.L. Robinson, who says good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hello. I don't get no shout out. Said good morning, ladies. I'm just playing. All right, so let's get back into the principles. The first one is Umoja, unity. So when you hear the word unity, what does that mean to each of you?
To me, it means coming together, no matter what race, religion, creed, color. It just means to come together and to do things together out of love and unification.
Right.
All right, and I see my food. I said, just leave it on the table. And thank you. Shout out to Latina Gooding. She's a supporter and donor of KLK. She brought me somebody. See, somebody actually loves me. Somebody actually loves me.
How many times have I stopped by McDonald's for you?
That was actually for Shay, since she didn't send me a shout out.
Oh, okay.
Not to pressure. I mean, we love all of our listeners and supporters. Trying to make things a little lively and fun. And S.L. Robinson does say good morning, Legacy, with a lot of laughy faces on there. So getting back to unity, Chelsea. I don't know if you had said something, kind of got distracted for a moment, but
I did. I just said that it just means to me coming together, no matter what race, creed, color, all of that good stuff. Just coming together to do things out of love and doing things like see a need, feel a need, coming together to do things like that.
And I would just like to add that I think in today's climate, unity is more important than ever, because there's so much that is going on that is trying to divide us, try to separate us by, race, creed, gender, pretty much any kind of classification that you can think of. It seems to be something that's trying to divide us. When
I would say it's not trying; it's happening.
Yeah.
Well,
it's happening. But I get what you're saying. What's important to me is that we all remember that, we're a family, in that we're all human. We all bleed, we all have pains, we all have ambitions.
Yes.
We all experience sadness, we all experience happiness, and to me it means coming together more as a world family.
Well, and I think about it at church, Reverend Ota always says we laugh in the same language and we cry in the same language.
Right.
That both of those are universal. Shout out to Alexis Scott, who says good morning. Well, Alexis, good morning to you. Appreciate you for checking in on our live feed. The second one is, I'm gonna let Dr. Branch.
Kuji Cha Gulia.
All right, self-determination. So what does self-determination mean?
Well, having control of yourself, being responsible for your own conduct, your own behavior, being responsible for the choices that you make. And I think that's really important, because unfortunately we live in a very narcissistic society where people do and say things and they say, but so and so. Well, no, nobody made your tongue do that. That was you. That was you. And so your responsibility, you're responsible for the words you put out into the world, and your words have consequences, right? When people say negative things, quite naturally they have a negative impact. You say something positive, quite naturally they have a positive impact.
So good seeds you reap good, you sow bad seeds you reap bad.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And for me, self-determination means that you're building up self. No matter what anybody says to you, no matter what anything that comes your way, you're just making sure that you keep building yourself up on the inside. You keep telling yourself that you can do it, and that also comes with, just like Dr. Branch said, having responsibility for yourself and knowing that you've made the best decision from jump. Just not doing anything all squirrely, but making sure that you're grounded and that you're telling yourself you can do it.
Well, I just want to maybe take a slightly different track on that when I think of self-determination. I think having the having the determination to accomplish your goals, to push and do the things that others can't be done, like to dare to do the impossible. And of course, I'll just use me as an example. Starting this station, it was a lot of hard work, and it was not easy, but I had the determination to do it. And of course, when you are determined, you can accomplish any goal that you want to accomplish.
And everybody has those stories
Yes.
in their lives where people have told you can't do so and so, and well, but I did. And so that self-determination is not only important for our communities, but it's also important for each of us as individuals.
Absolutely. And of course, once you do accomplish something, they can't take that away from you, and there's definitely a sense of pride that definitely comes along with that. We are speaking with Dr. Cherisse Jones-Branch and Chelsea Chapman. This is our Kwanzaa Kickoff Show. We're talking about the principles of Kwanzaa, and of course, if you want to weigh in, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Again, that phone number is 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live feed. Our third principle is UJIMA, collective work and responsibility, and I'm reading this off of Wikipedia. Don't kill me, Dr. Branch. I know professors frown on that.
As long as you don't cite it.
Okay, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. So, what comes to mind when you hear collective work and responsibility?
Well, for me, it really makes me think about many communities, but particularly African and African American communities, and how this is an important, or at least at one point it was an important.
And I hear Q pulling up, so
important tenet.
I'm gonna hand this chair over to her. Sorry.
Okay.
On the second segment.
In one of these, I forgot what I was saying now. Okay, so that these are important tenets in these communities, that we're not just responsible for ourselves, we're responsible for each other, and that's how the community grows. The community doesn't grow because of one person; it grows because of the collective efforts of everybody who live in that community. And so what we all put into it is what we all get out of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do have a Facebook comment from S.L. Robinson, who says, are there any events coming up for Kwanzaa within the city? Would love to attend. Well, other than the one that we're putting on, I am not aware of any, but of course our event will be December 29th at the A State Pavilion, 12 noon to 3 o'clock p.m. It is free, but we are asking for donations of socks and underwear, in which will be donated to a local charity. So come on out, and you can definitely enjoy some food, some fellowship, of course, got to shout out our caterer, Black Swan Catering out of Little Rock, Arkansas, which will be providing the food for our Kwanzaa Fellowship event. Of course, when Kubila takes over during the second segment, she can give you more details about the event itself. So let's go ahead and bring Chelsea back in, talking about collective work and responsibility.
Well, kind of to piggyback off of what Dr. Branch said, it does. It's that it takes a village mentality, that it cannot just be one person. And, this is something that, with the position that I'm in as volunteer program specialist for the city, that I would like to see more of in Jonesboro. I feel like we are have very low morale on collective work and responsibility. And I would love to see that flourish here. So I just think that it all starts with our mindsets. I kind of feel like, we're all like mine, but we need to understand that it can't be that way, because our children are going to take care of the next people and the next, so we kind of just need to come together and stop being so mine-ish.
And being selfish.
Yes.
I quite agree, and I think of it as a university professor, and how my job is to teach history. That's what I'm trained to do, but to also push the next generation to realize all that's possible. And while life is good here in Jonesboro, there's more to the world than Jonesboro, and part of my job is to encourage and sometimes push you to go out there and see what the rest of it looks like. And I think when you get the chance to do that, you go and you see things and you develop skills that you can then bring back to Jonesboro to further strengthen this community. So I say all that to say that all of us have a part in this.
Yes.
All of us have a part to play in this to make our community stronger. And we can't do that if we keep our skills and our resources to ourselves.
Absolutely. And S.L. Robinson has a comment, any size. Q, we are taking any size on those. Preferably kids. But
I haven't bought for a kid in a long time, so I'm sorry. I don't know size.
Any size kid. with just any size kid to work. But even if it's grown folks, they're grown folks that can use socks and underwear as well. So we won't turn them away. And S.L. Robinson says, so true, Chelsea. One comment that I wanted to make about collective work and responsibility. Yes, we do have a long way to go, but I think especially in 2018 here in Jonesboro, we started to see a trend of more togetherness. For example, the Back to School Bash that the Black Professionals Network put in, to see all of these organizations come together for one purpose, whereas in the past there was several different back to school drives going on, but all of them came together, and then I think you saw it again with the fall festival that First Baptist put on. So, and even with us having, the radio station to bring people together as a central place for information to get out to the community, I think slowly but surely you're seeing an increase in collective work and responsibility. S.L. Robinson says there should be more engagements like Kwanzaa events throughout the city of Jonesboro, not just ASU. And Claire Hodges says, good morning, Dr. Jones Branch.
That's one of my very fine folks from South Carolina.
All right. So let's get into our next principle, which is Ujama, and if I mispronounce it, I apologize.
Ujama.
Cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. So for you all weigh in, I'm going to just say this as a business owner. Support each other.
Right.
Because I'm going to bring up something unique that Shunquetta once said on an edition of Our Thoughts on the Matter. Even though we as African Americans have, I believe it's $1 trillion nationwide of collective buying power, but when you actually probably break it down into communities, each individual community, their population, their slice of the pie may not be as great. So a lot of times you have people trying to compete for smaller pieces of the pie, but don't let that stop you from supporting. I mean, because at the end of the day, people complain that, and in fact, I'm going to give you a very important example why it's important to support our own. Currently, the other day I did a community conversations about a missing young lady. In fact, I got the flyer here. She's still missing, so I'm going to just quickly read it. Chantel Johnson, she went missing on December 15, 2018. She is 16, 5'1", 132 pounds, with brown eyes, black hair, and she's light skinned. Of course, if you have seen her or know her whereabouts, please contact Jonesboro Police Department, or you can contact us here at KLEK, or you can contact her mother, Dominique Johnson, at 870-520-9129. And when I'm bringing this in as far as cooperative economics, both Chantel's mom, and I've had a couple other moms as well, reach out to us asking us to put the word out about their missing kids, because when they would go to other places, they got turned down. They were saying, well, your situation is not serious enough for us to broadcast. And of course, if you're a mother and you lost your child, I don't think it
doesn't get much more serious than that.
So if we did not have this platform for our community, and of course we serve the Jonesboro community as a whole, we're not trying to say we exclude people, but have something that our primary focus is our community, then people like Mrs. Johnson, and other mothers who have had children missing, they would have a way to quickly get it out to the masses that their child is missing. So that's why it's important to support our own, because nobody knows our struggles and our challenges
as well as
like we do. And so if the outlets and the platforms that cater to us go away, then
what do we have? Right, and there's a historical basis for all of this, by the way. I just last night started reading a book called Freedom Farmers, Agricultural Resistance, and the Black Freedom Movement by Dr. Monica White. She's a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and she talks about the history of cooperative economics that go all the way back to at least Booker T. Washington, W.B. Du Bois, George Washington Carver, and people like that. So they had long been having these discussions and encouraging African-descended peoples, particularly after the end of slavery and during Reconstruction, to form cooperatives, which many of them did because they understood that the mainstream resources were not going to be available to them. So, when you say building shops and businesses, working economically and cooperatively, that's not a new concept. It's not new.
Absolutely.
It's something we've kind of fallen away from. And
well, it depends on where you are.
Yeah,
right, because I don't want to generalize about that. No worries, no worries.
And of course, we have to say this, unfortunately, sometimes we fall victim into this. Can I get the hookup mentality? Well, no, I don't get the hookup on this rent bill. Sure, I don't get the hookup on these licensing fees. Ask BMI and CSAC. They are faithful with sending those bills.
Yes, and they come on time.
Yeah, I always say the bills come on time even when the money don't.
Right, right.
So it's very important. Of course, we at KLEK, we try to support all of our sponsors, but especially our minority sponsors as well. By the way, shout out to Addie's Soul Food and Grill, 311B Main Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas. They got all the soul food that you need. So that's one of our sponsors we had to shout out. S.L. Robinson says, I agree. Clara Hodges says support. Yes, definitely. And Dr. Branch posted a link about the Freedom Farmer. So, Chelsea, want to kind of get your thoughts on the collective working responsibility. Corporate economics.
I also agree with, of course, we want to support not just our own race, but just to support, period.
Well, switch. Remember, Mike 3 is not working, so we're going to have to pull 4 over to you.
Okay. I want to say this: when we support our own and support local, the money is recycled right back into their own communities. And the money also goes to help those families that have, say, children who may want to join a local program. So you're again supporting more than just one person. Now, I do want to say this on the flip side. We that have small businesses or minority-owned businesses, we need to step our game up as well and offer the quality service.
Right.
That other bigger businesses offer. We want people to be continued supporters of us. We have to offer quality service, and service with a smile never goes out of style. I know that sounds so
exactly
cliche. But service with a smile, quality service, and then we have to, and for those of us that are supporting these businesses, they may be struggling in the beginning, but if we continue to support them, they will continue to grow and be the business that we can grow and love and be proud of.
Absolutely. And I'll just conclude with this. Be proud of your business. Take pride in it. That's one thing I always say. When people walk into the studio, they know that they're walking to a legit radio station because we are a legit radio station. We're going to have the best quality equipment that we can possibly get. We're going to go ahead and leave it there. We're going to get ready to go into a break, but when we come back, we'll have more. This is our Kwanzaa kickoff celebration.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Dads, do you know how to color outside the lines? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Society has standards for what fatherhood should look like, but each father has unique strengths that make for unique parenting. So here are 3 ways dads can color outside the lines. First, consider whose lines you're trying to color in. Ask yourself, am I making decisions to impress others, or am I making decisions that are best for my family? Second, determine what success looks like for your family. Make a list of what's most important and pursue it. Finally, rewrite your story. If you've just been drifting along, start a new chapter for your family life. Be intentional about being the best dad you can be. Be bold, be creative, and remember, your family first.
Want to keep up with Mark off the air? You can. Follow him on Twitter. Twitter.com/Mark Merrill.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by attention members and guests, Blues, Live Band, and Southern Soul Showcase, Saturday, December 28th, 8 p.m. till midnight at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse, 1025 West Johnson Avenue, Jonesboro, featuring Big Papa G.
I got the no money blue.
Pyramid City Band.
It's party time.
Tyrone Powers.
What's the name of that thing?
More info, 870-530-3121.
This is Senator John Cooper. Jesus told someone to go home to his friends and tell them about the great things the Lord has done. Our family and friends are an especially important part of the Christmas season. Sue and I hope that during the holiday season you will be able to enjoy the holidays with your loved ones. And Merry Christmas, and may you all have a great New Year.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations. And no, I'm not Legacy, but I am your regular host, Kavila Jones. I'm happy to be back on the mic after being off all week. All right, we're going to keep the show rolling, continue with our next principle, which is
Nia.
Oh, Nia, which is purpose. And I'm trying to get the camera back. Okay. All right, so Nia states, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. So Dr. Branch, can you go into, what that means? I mean, I know what it means for me, but overall,
I think, like anything else, it's subject to interpretation. But for me, it's remembering to think about, or to first even learn something about African and African American history and culture, customs, history, that kind of thing. Too many people, regardless of race, don't know, how much we've contributed to American history, but also world history. And too many people, unfortunately, are unwilling to learn because they've been conditioned to believe that this is unimportant, this is, negative history. And I had a young person tell me the other day that the reason why younger black people, for instance, don't take African American history classes is because everything they've heard has been very negative. Right, we were enslaved, and there was Jim Crow, and whatever. And what I try to impress upon people is that ours is not just a history of victimization; it's also a history of empowerment. You can't have one without the other. And just because that's all you've ever heard doesn't mean that that's all there is. There are people who contested difficult situations, built communities and institutions and businesses and legacies, despite some of the very terrible things that they've had to experience in world and American history. And I think once people begin to look into that kind of history and begin to read it and to sit with it for a while and absorb it, you can begin to feel the power, and also begin to recognize that there's an incredible amount to be proud of, because people survived and thrived despite inhumane oppression.
Yes.
So for me, it's always about getting people to think about this in a very different way. It's about shifting that mindset when you think about this kind of history, shifting it away from what many of us, including myself, have been traditionally taught, to recognizing that wasn't accurate. It's one story, it's not all of the stories. There's just, the well runs deep. The well runs deep, and if anybody wants suggestions or whatever, I read all the time, as most people know.
And I encourage people to read, and I've always been a reader, but now I'm starting to read with a purpose.
Right.
Yes.
Read more on purpose, and really add to my knowledge bank, so that I can empower myself to continue to learn what my purpose is. My purpose at 20 was different than what it is now in my 40s.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
Now that I've finally finished, one degree,
Congratulations, by the way.
I now have a deeper sense of purpose. So find an area that you're interested in, and put your all into it. And then as you're going through the process, even more revelations about yourself will be revealed.
Sure. I quite agree. And I, too, was a very different person in my 20s than I am now that I am at the end of my 40s. And I quite frankly don't even recognize who that woman was anymore. But I had to be her, right, in order to get to this place. And it's just all of the process. And, one thing I always tell people is, learning is a lifelong pursuit, right? I've had people say, I'm graduating from college, I'm never going to learn again. Well, if you're dead, that's true.
Yeah.
But if you're living, you will learn.
Mm-hmm.
Trust and believe. But it should be an enjoyable thing, I think, and one should be intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so Chelsea, you have anything else to add to?
I do like what Dr. Branch said, and it just brought to my mind, there is purpose in pain. So everything that we have gone through has built us to be the people that we should take pride in. Mm-hmm. And for myself, it did take for me to kind of dig into the things that we used to do, as in, having elders and using herbs and things like that, versus to what has been pushed upon us. Mm-hmm. But me reading that did help me further find my purpose and find what it is that I am created for and would like to do. So yes, I do feel like we should get out there and we should read and we should intentionally learn about who we are, and through that link it with our purpose.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to our next principle, which is Kuumba, which is creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Initially, when I saw creativity, my mind went to the arts. Mm-hmm. But however, having flourishing arts programs and examples of art, it also has it's not just for entertainment purposes or not just for beauty. It's as we know within our culture, a lot of our art, whether it's sculptures, paintings, or even the written word, there's some historical context, and some cultural relevance to it. So, Dr. Branches, you being the history professor, help us understand why being creative helps to further our culture and our. Oh God, I just lost my words. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right, because I know exactly what you mean. Because to me, it's another act of resistance. It's another act of resistance. It's another way of saving ourselves, maintaining culture, transmitting culture across generations. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I think about something I was reading. Like I said, I'm always reading. And I think about when I was reading a piece just a few days ago about Africans being transported across the Atlantic Ocean to be enslaved in the Caribbean, South America, what became the United States, what have you. And how do we get things like rice? How do we get things like collard greens? The things that we call, Southern foods now are actually soul foods, and before that they were African foods, right? So I'm getting to the point. Rice. People transmitted, right? Enslaved people, or people who were going to be enslaved, transmitted those things. For example, some people, African women, would braid rice in their hair. That's a means of transporting.
Oh, wow.
Of course, they brought them in larger quantities on the ships or whatever, but they brought these things with them. They didn't just transport bodies. Cultures were transported.
Okay.
Right? Ways of thinking, ways of being. Knowledge was transported. You might enslave a person's body. You can't enslave their mind. You cannot erase the knowledge that they carried with them. So a lot of the things that we continue to do in African American culture all around the country today, that's not new. That's just been passed down in different forms from one generation to the next. But you have to be creative, and I would say brilliant, to do that and to be able to maintain it in a culture that would dare strip you of all of that.
Wow. I want to touch on the part where it says, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it, we hear a lot of talk about global warming. And we see the reports about the ice caps melting and things of that nature happening in the northern hemisphere. And if we, the generation now, are not creative with our environmental awareness and how we interact with our Mother Earth, we're going to find that our communities and our Earth overall is going to start diminishing. The quality of life is going to start diminishing. So it's our responsibility to be creative, to find ways to increase the quality of life for everyone around us, so that the future generations will have something to hold on to and to build on, continue to build on.
I quite agree. I absolutely agree.
And that's in all different avenues to me, because quality of life looks different for everybody.
Right.
It looks different for everybody.
Right.
All right. And our last one imani, which means faith, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. And Dr. Branch, you touched on this a little bit earlier when you were talking about purpose. We have to believe in everything that we've gone through, been through, everyone before us, and believe that even though what it looks like now doesn't mean that's what it's going to be up the road.
Right. And we're not even talking like 50 years from now, 5 years from now, 5 years from now. But I again think it's because part of this is psychological in my mind. It has a lot to do with the way that we think about each other, right? And the expectations, or sometimes the lack thereof, that we have for each other. We need to rethink that. And for example, I'm going to use this station as an example. Stop assuming that, the station is never going to happen. And you're basing that on what? Exactly. You haven't tried. You haven't contributed. You haven't done anything meaningful. You have an opinion, essentially, with no evidence at all to support it. Where's that coming from? Where's that kind of negativity coming from? The very idea that if certain entities are operated by certain kinds of people, they ultimately will be unsuccessful. The history does not bear that out, actually. All right? The history does not bear that out. The history bears out the exact opposite. But if you don't know that and you've been informed by a certain kind of thinking, that's what you're going to say. And if you're around other people who are thinking in those same ways, then that's the kind of atmosphere you're going to have. But I say we need to push back against that. You don't have to accept it because somebody else said it. And I'm one of these people anyway. I look at what you're doing. If you ain't doing nothing, I'm not trying to hear nothing you have to say. You just keep it pushing.
I want to break down each part of this statement. First of all, we have to believe with all our hearts in our people.
Right.
I had to check myself a couple years ago. Looking at this younger generation, we want to call them millennials, and this new age group of people that have seemingly different mindsets than I'm in my 40s, so people my age and older, we always like to look at the younger generation and say, turn our nose up and frown. But if we take a moment and think back, we were just like that.
Right.
The times were a little different. The game
was different.
Things were different, but it's still kind of the same concept. So we have to still have belief in the people that are around us, that they can be better, do better. They can be prosperous. If we don't pour into them, then they can't. So we have to believe in them enough to pour into them and guide them in the right direction, and hope something sticks.
And to also believe that they know something too. Being young doesn't mean dumb any more than being older means you've got everything figured out. Right?
It's true.
They bring something to the table too. What I lack in energy, I know Miss Chapman has.
Okay.
And she grew up in a world where having an iPhone and whatever is just hard for the course. It's normal, right? I mean, I remember when my dad used to tell me to carry a dime when I would go out. You see what I'm saying? So there's a certain base of knowledge that she possesses that I had to learn because she was born into a world where that was normal. So I don't dismiss that. Don't dismiss that. I don't know the stuff that she knows about technology, right? I mean, I remember when people started getting the first computers and when cell phones were in bags. Okay? So I'm not going to dismiss a younger person because they don't know what I know. They don't know what I know, but conversely, I don't know what they know.
And I feel the same way about my son. There's some things, even though he's 8 and in another generation, that they know that we don't know.
We don't know.
So,
yes, ma'am. All right. Our parents have, again, come before us. They've seen a few things, done a few things. They have knowledge and wisdom that we have no clue about, and so we need to believe in our elders enough to sit down and have a talk with them and listen to them. Don't just write off and dismiss them as, they're old, they don't know what they're talking about. We need our elders.
Yes, we do.
We need to cherish the ones that are still alive, especially in their 80s and 90s, and start recording these living history moments.
Right.
Yes.
Or it's going to get lost.
I do agree with. Yeah. I have to be a little bit controversial and push back just a little bit.
Okay.
I agree with everything you're saying. But everybody that's older doesn't know everything. Some people are just good at being old. I mean, seriously, some people are just good at being old. But I will say that, yes, we need to, and the history is, all around us, right? I mean, you know how much I write about African American history in Arkansas. You know much history is right here in Jonesboro and Craighead County that people don't write about?
Wow.
You know, there are older people here who have participated in civil rights activism right here in Jonesboro. We have a chapter of the NAACP here, but just the other day I posted something about the Jonesboro NAACP back in 1949. There's a history here.
Wow.
There's a history here, and there are people around who remember and can tell you some things about that. Getting older doesn't mean that your knowledge base has disappeared. It just means you got older. So why aren't we talking to those people? And Lord knows I can't do it all by myself.
All right, and then our teachers and our leaders.
Yes.
With Dr. Branch being a professor, I know she knows all too well what it means to her when someone continues to encourage her. You know, when all of our teachers, even in the elementary, middle school, high school levels, they need encouragement. They need us to believe in them and push them and support them so that they continue to give our kids the knowledge they need to go on through life. If we're constantly browbeating everybody, then, I mean, what do you expect them to do? How do you expect them to deliver?
Right.
If we're constantly putting them down and not supporting them. We know there are some teachers who are only in it for the paycheck, but not... It takes a special
that's not
person.
true in most cases, though.
It takes a special person to even say, I want to be a teacher. So
Right.
God bless all of the teachers out there, no matter what level you teach on. So we as a community have to start believing in, uplifting, and pushing our people forward.
Right. And there are, I mean, again, there are those of us who have always believed in and done that, but I think you're right. I mean, there is a psychological shift that has to occur. And the thing is, when I think about community, which is really what most of the principles of Kwanzaa are about, community, uplifting communities, we all have a role in that. The people in the front are no more important than the people in the middle and the sides or in the back. Right? I mean, the vehicle doesn't move unless all the parts are working.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. So, again, those are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And the 7 principles in Swahili is Unguzo Saba. And we are planning also a fellowship luncheon, which I'm very excited about. Last year, Chelsea and Dante Barker came up with the idea of Pass the Plate, a fellowship celebration. And so I want to continue that tradition, but this year's going to be a fellowship luncheon from 12 to 3 on December 29th at the ASU Pavilion. And so I have a general program outlined. Of course, Dr. Branch is going to be there. She's going to give us some historical background, and we're going to have some speakers. I want to do something a little different this year, and I got this idea again from Chelsea and Dante.
See, young people.
Last year they had an elder speak at the dinner, and so this year I wanted to expand on it and have people from different generations speak. We will have elders speak, and it's going to be titled A Letter from My Elder. They're going to impart words of wisdom and encouragement. And then we'll have people from the younger generation presenting a letter to my elder, things that they want their elders to teach them and tell them before, it gets too late, or, tell them things that they need to grow in life. So, Chelsea, would you like to expand on?
What do you want me to expand on? What else we'll be doing?
Okay, let's just take it from your age group.
Okay.
We have several generations here.
Yeah. So for me, Dante and I kind of came up with the idea last year because of the lack thereof.
Okay.
We wanted to see our people come together, and if you know me and Dante, we're kind of like Wakanda forever. So that was, that was kind of like our push to make us go into it. And I just feel like it's really, really important because the younger generation, I went to my son's school yesterday and I seen that they had made ornaments. My son put Kwanzaa at the top of his ornament and Christmas at the bottom of his ornament. And one of his friends was just asking, well, what is that, Kwanzaa? They were trying to pronounce it, and Michael told them, well, this is what Kwanzaa is. It has 7 principles. His teacher wanted to know how many people in the classroom knew about Kwanzaa. And you all would be surprised.
None.
2 students raised their hands.
Yeah,
so that's part of all of the unity, self-determination, all of those things kind of flowed to me at one time and was like, this is something that we need to be implementing to our younger generation as well. So when we come out for our luncheon, bring your children out so that they can learn, so that they can hear, so that they can acquire knowledge about Kwanzaa. It's like Leganzi said, it's in no way, shape, or form to fill in for any other holidays or to be a substitute, but it's a holiday in its own. Right. And I do feel like it's very important for us to teach them and for them to come out and learn just like how we're coming out to learn, because knowledge is acquirable every day,
right?
All the time, every second.
I just want to let everyone know that it's a very casual setting. It's the middle of the day, lunchtime. So if you're a Greek, wear your Greek wear. If you're in an organization, wear that T-shirt or whatever. I want us to have fun, relax, and enjoy the fellowship of one another, and take away some knowledge in the process. We don't go anywhere. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Your number one savings goal is to establish an emergency fund to be touched only in case of unemployment, needed car repairs, or anything else tied to your ability to earn income. Without this fund, which should equal at least 6 months of your living expenses, you'll likely resort to more desperate and costly measures to cope, including using your credit cards and even dipping into your retirement fund. But once you commit to building this fund, what steps should you take? First, automate the process as much as possible. Have at least 10% of your paycheck automatically transferred to your emergency fund every payday. Set a specific savings goal. You need to know how much 6 months of your living expenses is to the penny. Or you can go with half of your annual pre-tax income as a goal. Don't worry about earning interest. The point of the fund is not return on investment, it's having ready access to cash in case of emergency. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
This Christmas, Craighead County Circuit Clerk Candace Edwards hopes that you and yours will be touched by the real meaning of Christmas. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. As we remember the greatest gift of all, we wish you and your loved ones a blessed Christmas and a blessed New Year.
The key to making this station even better could be parked in your driveway right now. Donate your old car to us, you'll get a tax deduction, and we'll tow it away for free.
Go to klekfm.org for more information.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Jonathan Higgins of the Jonesboro Police Department. One of the best decisions I ever made was to join the Jonesboro Police Department. Since joining, I've had the pleasure to give back, protect, and serve my community. Now I want to let you know about that same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing for the patrol officers at the Valley View High School. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information, 870-935-5657.
Applications are being accepted. Applications are available at jonesboropolice.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I want to recap or wrap up our discussion on our Kwanzaa luncheon. We really hope to see the community as a whole come out. Again, this will be a catered free event. We are asking for donations of underwear for children, socks, t-shirts. They will be donated to a local organization that assists families with children. Again, we're going to have something for everyone to enjoy. We will have some poetry done by a local person, and I'm hoping to get some musical entertainment as well, but we'll see how that works out. But we will have speakers again from elders and from our younger generations, and I'm hoping to play a game as well. So again, come to learn something, because you never know, you might win a door prize. Also, for those of you that do donate items, you will receive a ticket for a door prize. We have a few to give away. Are there any final words that you all would like to add, not just about the luncheon, but about Kwanzaa as a whole?
I just want to say, just come out, bring your children out. Don't leave them at home. Bring them out. Let them come and be a part of this event to learn, and for you to learn new things, and for you all to acquire knowledge to take for the generations to come. And let's try and implement, let's implement these principles into our everyday, because just like Dr. Branch said, most of them are about building up our community, and that's really what is most important, is that we make a good place for ourselves, our children, and our generations to come to be able to grow and thrive in.
Go ahead. No, I quite agree. And do come to learn, but also just go ahead and read a little bit about it before you get there, and teach someone else, and of course bring your family, bring your children. But again, if we're talking about community, reach out to somebody else in the community and invite them to come. It's like I always tell my students, each one teach one.
That's right. And a lot of people, I'm trying to stay off of social media as much as possible. However, in the time that I am on, I see all of these discussions about us as Black people not being recognized or not being appreciated, and various conversations around that. But if we don't make our presence known, if we don't celebrate ourselves and put ourselves out there, then no one else would know. They won't know much about us, and our culture will slowly die and fall to the wayside and become corrupt. So if we don't take a stance and put ourselves out there in a more positive light, then what can we expect? What do we expect from mainstream society?
Well, I don't expect anything, but I will say that it is important for us to celebrate ourselves and each other, and not, in my humble opinion, be too terribly concerned about what other people think. We need to know our worth.
Yes. We need to not make Kwanzaa, even though Kwanzaa comes right after Christmas, these are principles that we can celebrate all year round.
Right.
Post them around your home. Make it a daily, weekly, monthly ritual to have family time and really start learning more about who you are, where you come from. I know not everyone either believes in doing the DNA testing. They think it's a scam and this, that. That's your personal feelings. However, if you are one of those people who would love to know more about your background, I really encourage you to do so and make it a family thing. Start having these discussions, learning where your ancestors come from, and continue that throughout the generations to come.
And now was a good time to get it around the holiday because it's a little bit cheaper. Because that's something that I asked for Christmas, Mom.
And talk to your older relatives. They know lots of important history.
Yes.
And we're just treating them like they don't have anything meaningful to say,
right.
and those are your best resources.
They are.
Yes. So I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Thank everyone out there in the community for supporting us and continue to support us in the upcoming year. But again, please don't forget to come out to our luncheon. And also, we will have individual discussions starting next Wednesday, December 26th, on the different principles. I have different speakers lined up for each of those shows, and I hope that you really enjoy it and get something out of it. I want to continue this tradition of continue to celebrate us and spread the knowledge. We'll have different speakers each year, hopefully. If not, we'll roll what we have. So if anyone would like to participate in any shape, form, or fashion, please reach out to me or the radio station, and I'll be happy to find a place to put you. So, alrighty.
All right.
Well, I want to thank you all. Let me skip to the next. And again, Kwanzaa, there is an official website. Do you have that pulled up, Dr. Brent?
I think if you just want a specific website, I can find and post one.
Well, there's an official one, and it also gives some background information of the gentleman, the doctor, who started it. I think it's just Kwanzaa official.
Moringa, I'm forgetting his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
So I really encourage everyone to please go out and do your own research. Get deep into the knowledge of what Kwanzaa is all about, and get to know more about your culture and why this is relevant to each of us. All right, so I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're going to end our show. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, whatever.
All of that.
All of that. All right, so again, we will be back on Community Conversations on Wednesday, December 26th with Principle number 1 of Kwanzaa. So I hope everyone has a great, happy holidays. Stay safe and stay warm. All right. Any final words, you all?
No, thank you. Happy holidays to you.
All right.